Tune in to Twin Tier Sunday to learn about the 150-year celebration of Elmira. It's going to be very exciting. We got Mayor Sue Skidmore and Jennifer Herrick from Elmira Downtown, and it's going to be a wonderful show. We'll see you on Sunday.
You're watching Twin Tier Sunday with Jennifer Sheahen.
Welcome to Twin Tiers Sunday. I'm Jennifer Sheahen. Thank you for joining us today. Hope your weekend is going well. Today we have a very exciting show for you. We're celebrating 150 years of Elmira. We're talking about the past, the present, and the future, what is to come, and just the greatness of what makes this a great historical place. In just a moment, Elmira Mayor Sue Skidmore will be joining us. But first, let's take a look at what event kicked off this celebratory year.
Happy 150 years, Elmira. The sesquicentennial for the city kicked off with a fundraising cocktail party at the Clements Center. The fundraising party helped the Elmira Sesquicentennial Celebration Steering Committee meet expenses for festivities being planned throughout 2014. But a majority of the night was remembering a great city.
Some of my great memories doing the walking tour is I took Froggy on a walking tour who was in our gang. Hal Roach, who did the Little Rascals, grew up in Elmira, and so that was very interesting to take one of those children.
For those who have grown up in the area, Elmira was more than just a city. It was where their memories were made.
Eldridge Park was always one of our main things we used to go to when we were kids.
Well, the thing I like about Elmira is it's a family environment. There's a lot to do with families. I remember growing up going to Eldridge Park. It's a good place to raise kids and raise my family.
Remembering the past and gearing up for a great future, I have a feeling 2014 will be Elmira's year.
What an exciting night that was. And now Mayor Sue Skidmore joins us, and Jennifer Herrick, who is the Executive Director of the Elmira Downtown Development. How are you ladies doing today?
Great. Thanks for having us.
No problem. It's very exciting times for us ahead, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Now, why don't you tell me a little bit about what Saturday night was about?
Saturday night was our kickoff event for a full year of celebrations for Elmira's 150th or sesquicentennial anniversary of its incorporation of a city.
Wonderful.
So that was the first event. It was one of our larger fundraisers. We will be continuing to fundraise throughout the year. Along with lots of events. We're looking to hold an event every month.
That's wonderful. How many people do you think showed up to this event on Saturday?
I would say we had between 200, 250 people.
Yeah.
We really filled the lobby of upstairs and downstairs of the Clements Center.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for the little bit that I was there, everybody was just enjoying, having a great time. So that's pretty great.
We couldn't get them to stop talking.
This is true. How much money was raised then over the event?
Between our sponsorships and the people who attended, we are probably near about $18,000. So that is really such a wonderful start and an indicator of the support that we got from this community. So
that's really great. Anything that stuck out that night? Big event, prizes, anything like that?
Well, we didn't give out any prizes.
No. Was the music?
We had wonderful music. The city historian, Diane Janowski, was there. She's a writer in her own right. She's written many books about the history of Elmira. Her family is a long-term name within the city. She attends reenactments of the Civil War. So she's very much up onto everything that is and was Elmira. So she put a film together for us, and that's what was playing at the event. It's also on our website, I Love Elmira, and that's either iloveelmira.com or on Facebook. You can find it under I Love Elmira.
Right.
When was this website launched? I know that I've just started hearing about it within the last 2 weeks when I was at the last meeting.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So
it went live in December. When we decided that we needed to do a fundraiser, everybody acted fairly quickly, and we really had the support of the City of Elmira and the Chamber and just a strong committee that said, you know what, this needs to happen, and we just put the steps forward and moved straight forward. So it was probably launched at the end of December when we decided to launch and see the need of the fundraiser.
And what are some of the big draws of the website?
Basically, what you're going to be able to see there is our event list. So currently there's about 4 or 5 events on there, including the birthday and the reenactment and the resolution that the city did.
Right.
But the goal there is to fill that list with many events, not just the events that this committee has put forth, but we're looking to ask any business or organization that either holds an event or has a good idea for an event to get in touch with us.
That's great. And then tell me a little bit. I know we have talked about the movie that was playing there. There was a wonderful band that was playing as well. Tell me a little bit about those.
The Sesquicentennial 7.
And you know, honestly, they are all different musicians that came together to perform. There's 2 of them in there that is the Segro brothers, and the Segro brothers are the harmonica players.
Yeah, that was
And I
amazing.
remember watching them when I was little on Ed Sullivan, which is way before your time. But you know, they have played at the White House. They are just an amazing group of older gentlemen who love their instruments, and they play everywhere.
They were very, very exciting when I watched them.
Yep.
Are they going to be at different events then throughout the year?
They would like to be. They came to me after the event and said, please have us, and we are more than welcome, because they really set the tone of that evening. So we
have other events that, you know, other musicians have come forward, like barbershop quartets, and so, you know, we still have to plan and piece all the information together. But I think you're going to see some great events throughout the year, and I know we'll talk about that in the later portion.
I know, a little bit later. Now, back to the website here. One more time, website, give it to us.
iloveelmira.com.
Okay, now when people go there, can they donate to the events coming up as well?
We're going to set up the page to do that right now. It does not, but there's a address they can send it to. Elmira Downtown is going to be handling that. So, and the Community Foundation is actually going to handle it overall for us. So we will set up an online, we had it set up for online tickets, but now the next is to continue with the sponsorship.
You also have to understand that these are partnerships with other businesses, so we're hanging off of somebody else's website, or we're connected to somebody else's website, and other people are providing services. So this really is a lot of sharing and communal respect going on here between each other. And as Jen keeps talking about Elmira Downtown Development, they are really the point for all the events for the city. So we're working in conjunction with Downtown Development, their board of members there, as well as any other businesses that have come forward to jump on board and help us with the events.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Very exciting night.
Very exciting.
We have more to come. We're going to learn a little bit about the history of Elmira and what has made it such a wonderful historical landmark. We'll see you right after the break.
Twin Tier Sunday will return in a moment.
Welcome back. We're back for the second part of our show on this wonderful Sunday, and we have Mayor of Elmira, Sue Skidmore, and Downtown Developer Executive Director Jennifer Herrick. All right, ladies, we're back again. We're going to talk a little bit now about the wonderfully rich history of Elmira. Now, going back to the 1800s, this was kind of a transportation hub, wasn't it, of the whole southern tier?
Yeah, we could take it back a little bit further if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
The town of Newtown was actually what we started out as, and it was a small piece of land that was deeded to Jeff Wisner in 1790, as in Wisner Park, and which is now Sullivan Street.
Yeah.
So as the city began to grow and the transportation hub came in was in the 1800s. When that was completed, it was in, I think it was 1860. And it just brought in so much industry, so much manufacturing, and the population grew. And that's what allowed us to go to the legislature and request incorporation as a city. And that was granted in 1864. At that time, we actually co-located in the county courthouse. It's still the same structures, the jail, the courthouse, and I don't think the clerk's office was there, but on Lake Street is where City Hall used to be. At that time, there really wasn't a Chemung County, and it was part of Tioga County. It wasn't until, again, somewhere in the 1880s or 1860s that we actually became Chemung County. And at that time, they started to look for property for a new City Hall. So where the City Hall was actually located, and it was built, the deed says 1902 when the property was built, when the building was built. They purchased a structure or piece of property from a church that was where the Hazlitt building now stands. So that's where the original City Hall was prior to the Hazlitt building being there. And then at some point in time, that burned down. And we have our City Hall where it is now. So it's interesting when you look at all the paperwork and the deeds to see the Arnott name owned the property where City Hall is now. The names like Meniere's and Big Flats, and basically this area was created by the soldiers that stayed behind after Sullivan's March in the 1790s.
Wow.
So that's how we really got our start. We were like a fork in the river, and this was the Indian land.
That is just amazing. Now we've had, I was reading up in Elmira, and I heard it was once called Elmira.
Well, no,
now the
Yeah,
civil,
well,
but that was due to
that was the Civil
Yoda
War,
War.
yeah, and which was really a staging area for our soldiers at one point, and then they turned it into a prisoner of war camp. And that's not to say that all prisoner of war camps are good or bad, but there was Andersonville down south, so when you want to compare them, that's what they related it to. And actually when I read some of the history, a lot of people were dying within a short period of time when they got here. But to say that there was corruption, I'm sure there was corruption. The officer quarters for that prisoner of war camp is actually Foster House, which is on, it's across the street from, well, you got Wisner and then you have Water Street, and that still stands. It's a medical office building. So that was really officer
it's still
quarters.
there.
The houses that are along Wisner, some of those were also housing quarters for the soldiers. But the encampment itself, they did talk about it as Elmira, which leads us into one of the events that is coming up this year.
A positive event.
Yeah, which is a reenactment of Civil War activities, including a battle in early May. So it's 150 years for the reenactors as well. So I guess it's the Chemung Valley Living History, I think, is the name of them. And they come every couple of years, but they didn't come last year because this year is their big one.
Their big one. They've been preparing.
So I have to tell you, you know, if you've never seen it, you've got to come. I've done the Revolutionary War up at Newtown. They used to do the Civil War up there, but now they're down here, which is really where they should be, because this is where the Civil War really happened.
It's a very exciting time. It's going to be a wonderful event.
So they live there, they camp there, they have cannons, 6-pound loads that they blow up, and you can sit up on the banks and just watch it and become part of living
I have
history.
a feeling that's going to be a great thing to go to this year. Now moving on, we have Dr. Eldridge was kind of next, wasn't he? Now how did he come to the area? We have Eldridge Park now, so obviously he was kind of a big figure for Elmira.
Well, he was, and you know what, I'm sorry I haven't studied up on Dr. Eldridge for this segment, but I will say that what he created was the gardens where currently Eldridge Park is, and Eldridge Lake. The park itself at one time was much larger than what we see now. Part of Anchor Glass, I don't even think it's called Anchor Glass anymore, was part of that property. They had a zoo, so you could see the bears down in the pits. They had a gambling casino. They had a racetrack. They had a quarter-horse racetrack around the park. And over the years, it turned into a regular amusement park. And when I got here, which was about 25 years ago, the park had just closed. The animals were still on the carousel, but not functioning. The roller coaster was in disrepair, and over the course of years, they took that down. And really, the parks, all the parks in the city laid fallow. So not a lot was done. And then the preservationists came forward, and we've partnered with them, and you can see the results of that.
Well, yeah, what happened this past year? What were we voted for?
Oh, well, we were very close.
Very
the most
close.
popular park in the United States.
That is quite the accomplishment, let me tell you.
But you know, when you look at the history and you see these names like like the Meniers and John Hendy, who actually was the beginning of Newtown, which is now West Elmira, where Hendy Avenue School is.
That's right.
When we talk about all those names, some of the names that we still see around town, some of those families are still here
Still
from
here.
way back when. And we have old directories to the 1870s, so I can look at them and we can see who's still here. And the Diven family played a huge part of the history in Elmira as well. And I don't know if you've ever been to
I've never
Woodlawn.
Oh,
But
there
they
we
have
go.
they've got the cemetery is full of our population, full of our governors, senators, and all these important people that were here at the time. And General Diven and his family were certainly part of it. It's not all the Langdons, but Mark Twain and the Langdon family certainly have a big history here as well. But we have Diven School, we have Maxwell Place Firehouse, and the Divens used to live at 973 Lake Street. So, you know, when we talk about, gee, that side of town, that was a wonderful side of town,
That's
and we
true.
need to rebuild that and
And
really
it's coming,
rebuild
and I think
everything.
in the future, though, I think that is something, it's a stepping point, you know where you want to go, and there are improvements to be made, but it is a wonderful city.
Yeah.
It's a great community.
We've always been a very progressive community. We had free black men as constables, as council members, the leaders of churches. One of the oldest black churches in America are here. So, or was. I think they're trying to reestablish it. But the history is just phenomenal. The first women's college, abolitionists, suffrage, the Underground Railroad, everything is here. We have a lot of history, and we have a lot of good things to look back and reflect on.
Well, I'm feel happy to call it my home now. So I look forward to learning in the next segment about what is to come for the future, what amazing events are planned. So join us right after the break.
Twin Tier Sunday will return in a moment.
Welcome back. Hope you're enjoying your Sunday still. And we just talked about a huge amount of history in Elmira. Learned so many great things just that I never knew. I'm new to the area, so it was wonderful learning about them. Now, why don't you tell me a little bit, either of you, kind of what you're seeing for the future? I know that you just had your budget rollout this year, Mayor. What are you seeing for the next 2 or 3, 5, 10 years as far as the growth of the city?
Oh, you're asking a tough question.
I know. I'm sorry.
Well, you know, it wasn't a happy budget year for us, and under the governor's plans of tax caps and other consolidations, merger shared services, you know, these are things that we're certainly going to look at because we need to do something. Shrinking governments, I know what he's really looking at is towns and villages, but that has to include cities as well. Because if we don't shrink, we might be able to provide services for those villages and towns to make it easier for them as well. So what do I see? Well, you know, I would love to see development in the city. We see a lot of development outside the city because they have open property and clean property. And one of the problems with Elmira is, if you've been following Southside Rising,
Yes, that's correct.
is brownfield. And almost the entire south side is a brownfield, but you have to also understand all of the activities that we did for World War II created those brownfields. So to clean them up and make them livable and usable, but please go to our website, look at that Southside Rising plan. It's a fabulous
incredible what they're doing out
It's
there.
a
It's gonna be
fabulous
wonderful.
plan. It's only a plan at this point. We are going to phase 2 on that, which is to extend those plans into more development, and then the final plan is to actually get some agencies in that will develop those plans.
Do we have a time frame for that at all?
Well, phase 2, actually phase 1, phase 2 is looking out to about 8 years, and then after that is when you'll start seeing some of those plans come together.
Now, what are some of the big highlights for people that out there don't know about it very much? We report on it here and there, but why don't you tell us a little bit about Southside Rising, some like the big draws of what could be coming to the community?
Well, really, Southside is more of a residential area, and I'd like to see more of that being developed. We've put a lot of money into the parks, and there's some unused shopping centers, and of course South Main Street, not looking very pretty.
Needs to be redeveloped. And I think that's some of the focus, master plan of 0 to 8 years is taking a look at the even, because that's considered our downtown too, that's the south side of our downtown.
That's very true.
Right. So part of Jennifer's job is a business improvement district. Well, I couldn't think of that for a second. I'm sorry. I always just refer to it as a bid. But that's really where her expertise comes in. But as you can see, some of the things that we've done with the Lackawanna Trail up by Wegmans is something like we want to transfer into. You're seeing some of that happen in our downtown parks on the north side of the river, but certainly we want to see that carry over into the south side of the river. So those are some of the things. It also includes improvements to Brand Park, and the northern end there where Hal Packaging is, and as well as the Lake Street Bridge kind of got folded into that. That doesn't mean it's actually happening, but it's part of the plan.
Wonderful.
So we're really happy about that. We just need the developers to come in with some foresight and insight. We had a couple of projects fail, and that's too bad, but we'll need to clean that up and start over again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely,
move
and
forward.
moving forward.
Always move forward. Progress.
That is right. Like our city slogan, I have it right here, honoring the past and building the future, which this year we're going to build the future with our 150 years. And tell me a little bit about the celebrations that are going to be happening throughout the year.
Well, we're going to be honoring the past and moving the future. I mean, we really are moving forward. I mean, Saturday was a great indicator of what this community wants and what we're going to do moving forward. And we're going to have a laundry list of events, new events, and we're asking people even to tag on the 150th onto their existing events. So, I mean, we're going to be doing
we do have a plan for the year, but that's not to say that we're not open to other suggestions.
Right.
We want to work with the schools, industry, corporations, churches. We have something going on that we're going to work with the children from Divin School for a project in February that hasn't been announced, nor is it on the calendar yet.
What are some of the main projects that are coming up?
Well, we're going to have the reenactment because the birthday is actually April 7th of this year.
Yeah.
So we're going to do the reenactment of the incorporation of the city.
Okay.
And period costumes, please.
Right,
if you come. We're not sure where that's going to be held.
We'll be doing the Family Fun Day in Eldridge Park. That's an iconic park, and it should be celebrated as well.
Fireworks.
Firework downtown. Our big celebration will be in the East Water Street near Sheahen Canal, the History Museum, the Art Museum, Howell Packaging, a lot of where the start of everything happened, the beginning. And you'll see that will be a community event. All of our events are community events, so I need to stress that, and they're all free.
That's wonderful.
So, and that will be food and music and fireworks and really just a celebration. And then we'll move on and we'll insert any other events that anybody decides or,
So January we've had one, February we have something scheduled. We have nothing in March. April is the reenactment of the city incorporation. May
the
Civil War reenactment.
June, Eldridge Park. July, the Street Painting Festival, that's one of our big events.
Big fun event.
So that we'll ask artists to, do pictures of Elmira.
And I've gotten a lot of inquiries and people that are not really connected with the regular art community.
Yeah.
They've been sending me samples, and their work is phenomenal, and we're going to get them to come out and do some stuff for us.
We really encourage people to go to that iloveelmira.com website. If you have an idea, there's a submission form. Please, any business or organization, no idea is a bad idea. The sooner the later, so we can get that calendar event so we can get it out to the public.
Well, time goes by real fast, so the sooner you have an idea and get it to us, the more we can look at it and see if we can get it done.
Yeah.
Very exciting. I look forward to going out and covering all of these events, learning more about the city each day. Definitely the reenactment is going to be attended. Costume pieces, what do you think you're going to wear to the reenactment?
Not a corset.
No corset? Mayor, you going to have a corset or not?
Well, you know what? The dress of the day, you had day dresses, you had walking dresses, you had outfits that you could be a storekeeper or a nurse or somebody who actually worked down at it's not a nurse, but it's somebody who would bring food to the prisoners. Is a different kind of I'm not sure, but I'm thinking if I wear something like that, I I could go to more reenactments. I like doing that.
Wonderful. Well, we had a wonderful show. We learned a lot. It's going to be a great year. A lot of great events. Please, everybody, go attend them. Go to iloveelmira.com. Learn more about what's coming up. Give your suggestions. Thank you for joining us, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for
No
having us.
problem. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week.